All right, got a phone call. So this will be a continuation of number 7. I'll just put it as part 2, but you guys already saw that on the title. So anyway, got Rue here. Got a little bit of a peak right here to, 9.3-ish. So I went ahead and I took my 10K band and centered it at 9,400. And so I'm going to pull that down 1.5 decibels and run that and see what happens. Pause it so you guys don't have to watch it, but there's the before. And there's the after. So that's looking pretty good. I'll take 6K down, about 2 decibels. And when you guys are messing with the EQ, really try and never boost any frequencies, never raise any of your sliders here. Don't raise them into the positive numbers. That just gets you into clipping a lot sooner. Not that I haven't done it before, and no good examples here, but if you have like a little problem frequency, you can try making a really narrow band and adjusting it that way. Really no more than 3 decibels ever. I think on my last tune finalized, I had, I think, maybe 2 bands that I boosted out of all 8 speakers. So it's really not necessary. So we're going to take that 6 and bring it down just a little bit and see what that does. All right, I brought it down about 0.5 decibel, and that's where it's ending up. That's looking pretty good overall. I had the mic pointing forward on that one, so the line's a little bit more flat instead of kind of tapering off here. This little peak here at 16K, I'm not going to worry about that, mainly because most people are harder of hearing up in that area, especially anyone, 30 ages of older, or 30 years old or older, excuse me. Kind of starts getting hairy up there, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that. Generally, you want this tweeter to kind of taper off a little bit, especially if the microphone is pointing upward. If the mic's pointing up, obviously the really high frequencies, 10K and above, are going to have a hard time getting in there. So a lot of people say point the mic upward, and that's generally what I do. Tweeters, you can point it forward, but just realize that you're going to get different results. And like if you started on it facing upward, it'd come down, and as you pointed the mic forward, as it kept averaging, it would raise that top end up some. So just realize what you're doing and why it's doing that. I'm not going to do the right tweeter now. I'm going to move on to the mid-range, kind of keep this flowing, that way you guys get a idea of what each speaker should look like in its own area. Hold on. So I'm going to go ahead and mute the left tweeter and unmute the right mid, left mid. So let's go ahead and do the left mid and see what it's doing. All right, that has kind of averaged out. All right, so really from everything from about 200 to 2 or 3K, you want it to be as flat as possible. So we're going to go ahead and take these peaks and knock them down. Again, this big old dip at 2.5K, that's just a function of my car. There's not anything I can do about it. So we're not going to worry about that. So let's see, average is, the phone will focus. Here we go. About 28 8.5 decibels. These peaks are right at 30, so we're going to go ahead and take a 650 and 940-ish and take them down about 1.5 decibels a piece. So if we go to the front left mid, and actually I'm going to unconnect these channels. So if I went to, yeah. So what I say, 630, 1.5 decibels, and we're going to take the 1K, bring that 940, perfect. And I could go in here and actually use the parametric EQ, but really don't feel like messing with that right now since it only does it per band. So there we go. So let's go ahead and take another measurement and see what happens. Alright, I kept the cursor where that peak was, so as you can see, it knocked those two peaks down. Got a little bit of a dip there, but again, not really going to worry about dips. Except, let's go ahead and move that 630 band. Go ahead and knock that down another 0.5 decibel. Just to kind of knock this little peak down just a bit. There's another one at 740. Really not going to worry about it. All in all, though, obviously this is where my crossovers are. But all in all, it's looking really flat with just a little bit of EQ. So I am pretty darn excited about that. Look at that. 2 bands, and just like that. Now, later on in the next video or the one after, we're going to play pairs of drivers, and obviously they're going to interact with each other, and that's going to mess with the results. So these can't, or not can't, but they're not going to stay like that. So once we do both sides independently, then we're going to play their sides together. But like I said, that'll be in the next video and show you kind of what's going on there. So let's move on to the mid bass. Alright, so that's what the left mid bass looks like. Now, the Schrodinger frequencies, my car's right about 400 hertz. Anything below that is kind of halfway a crapshoot in your vehicle. Basically, that's to do with wavelengths and the dimensions of the vehicle. But without getting into it, we're going to go ahead and take that 250 hertz and definitely bring that down some. We're going to bring 250 down. Was it 160? Yep, we're going to bring 160 down. Probably going to put a narrower Q filter on that. Same thing with 120. We'll take 160 down. So we're going to put right about 6 on that. 125 is going to come down just a little bit. Because you do, on your mid bass, want this to kind of slope downward a little bit and then start flattening out around 150, 200. So that's going to line up with the mid-range well. Go ahead and take another sweep and see what's going on. Alright, so didn't really help out as much as I would like, especially in this area right here. But luckily for us, that's in one of our crossover areas. The mid is at 309, or sorry, the mid bass is 309. The mid is at 309 also. So we're going to take this, knock that down some, and as you can see down in here what it's doing EQ wise, that 300, if they're both crossed at the same area, that area is already going to be boosted, especially since you have 4 speakers playing the same frequencies. When you start playing the whole system together, that's going to get really complicated really fast. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that down to 200 and see what that looks like. All right, so as you can see, that really helped flatten out this whole area. Obviously, these are problem areas. We'll get to fixing those later. But so you can see, even with Linkwitz route crossover, which means at the crossover point, which is 200 hertz, it's over going to be 6 decibels down, and then it's going to roll off from there. Butterworth would be 3 decibels down at the crossover frequency. However, if you look at this here, you can see, even though it's already rolling off at 200, at 300 it's still flat. So that's really, like I said, anything over, well, any frequencies in the vehicle are going to get boosted naturally just because it's a small space. But with that being said, it's going to really start mattering when everything starts playing together, and especially under like 400 hertz area, everything's going to really get boosted really quick. So I'm probably actually going to take that down to 150-ish or so and see how that's going. Yeah, it's really hot in here. You guys are welcome. Suffering through this for you. So let's knock that down to 160 and see what that does to the top end. Alright, so I knocked that down to 150. As you can still see, 300 is still pretty high up there. But we're going to leave that for now and see how that interacts with the other speakers and see what's going on there. But we'll definitely keep that in mind, that if we start getting peaks in there, that's from that driver. I'll probably still go in and knock each one of these down about 2 decibels, and that should help some. And let's do the subwoofer, and we'll go ahead and close out this video. So we're going to mute that channel, enable the sub, and see what that's doing. Alright, so I just went ahead and did the subwoofer. As you can see, I already took 32 and 80 hertz down some. Yeah, I had to listen to this every day, so I wanted something that sounded good while I was waiting to do these videos for you guys. Again, this dip here, not going to really worry about that till we start listening to music and whatnot and see if it's actually a problem or if that's just kind of there. Like I said, I went ahead and knocked 32 hertz down a little bit more just because it's getting peaky in here. But obviously you want the sub to roll off into your mid-bass area. We will start seeing how speakers interact with each other. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. You guys really don't need to watch that. I think you got the idea. Open this door because it's killer hot in here. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, and if you guys have any questions, comments, put them in the comment section. Like I said, I'll try and keep updated on that. Always subscribe, make sure you get updates for the next videos that are coming out. I'm going to go through everything, and I think I'm going to start rolling through and keep these videos going even after I'm tuned, even though it's never really done, like building a hot rod. It's never done no matter what you do. So I'm going to go ahead and keep doing the videos after the tuning videos. I'm going to start getting into like acoustic theory and that sort of stuff. If that interests you guys at all. If you guys really don't care about that, that's fine. If you do want to see it, post it up in the comments. Just say, hey, you know, I really like to hear more about the sound and acoustics and all that kind of stuff. We'll go ahead and talk about that. So with that being said, I will go ahead and close this out. You guys rock on. And I'm going to go ahead and get this other side done and see how we end up.